Hello, we are Mark and Tony, and this is Derry. Join us as we tour the UK in our pre-loved motorhome, Kate.
Okay, this is just a little explanation about our first 2 nights in the motorhome. The first night, Mark dropped me off kindly to my niece's hen night in Brighton. And we had an Airbnb. It was a really good night and we all stayed there the night. So the idea was he was going to go, we'd literally picked it up the week before, hadn't we?
Yeah.
And this was the following Saturday. And the idea was Mark and Derry were going to go off for the night somewhere around Brighton and stay overnight and then come and pick me up in the morning. So you dropped me off, didn't you?
Yes, I thought, okay, I'll find somewhere nice and quiet for the evening, just me and the dog. Come out of Brighton a little bit. So I didn't really know where I was going. I just headed out of Brighton and I ended up in a little village. It was more of a small town. What was it called?
Hurstpier Point.
Hurstpier Point. So a lot of you obviously know it. But I've never been there before, so I pulled up. I saw a fish and chip shop and there was a nice lay-by. I thought, this will do. And it was very quiet and quite a big lay-by. So I pulled up. It was very hot. I had the back window. I had all the windows open. The back window was open.
It was hot that weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah. So just settled in. Just finished my fish and chips. And I heard a van pull up behind, and I was like, oh, okay. I thought, well, that's a bit close. And it was another camper van pulled up. I thought, oh, okay, yeah, it's going to happen, you know, fine. And then after about 3 or 4 minutes, there was these, well, basically obscenities coming from the van. And this guy was shouting and using all words under the sun, which I won't repeat. I thought, oh, somebody's getting their ears bashed in there with him. And then I realised they were directed at me. He was basically saying, you shouldn't be here, you should be on a campsite, this is my spot, I'm homeless, this is where I live, you shouldn't be here, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking, okay, this is about you, Mark. This is a little bit personal.
This is a nut job.
So I left it and it just didn't stop. It was relentless and it was getting louder. So me being me, I jumped out the vehicle and approached the van. I said, what's your problem? And immediately I was confronted with a metal table leg, as you probably, a lot of people will know what they are. One of these things. Being waved in front of me and being told that if I don't leave, he's going to basically beat me up. So I'm like, okay, well, fine, go ahead. I won't go on into too much detail about it, but basically after about 20 minutes of him, he actually swung at me with this thing and I just stood there and I thought, right, if you hit me, that's it, you're on the floor.
But then you would have got into trouble.
But then I would have got into trouble and I just thought, you know what, it's just easier just to go, because these guys obviously, he's obviously, yeah, he's got problems, got issues. Felt quite sorry for him, really. But there's no way that he should have been saying the things he was saying and doing the things he was doing. And then I heard him actually hitting the inside of his van with this table leg. And I thought, yeah, it's time to leave.
And wasn't he catapulting something at our van?
That's right, he was catapulting stuff at the van. And I thought, do you know what, if I fall asleep here, he could, in the middle of the night, just, you know, go down the side of the van with a knife, or, you know, it's just not worth it. So.
And it was the first night. It was the
first night in the van. Well, my very first night in the van.
Yeah.
Tony hadn't even been in it. So
No.
I thought, yeah, no, Mark, just do the sensible thing. You know, if it had been 20 years ago, I'd have probably pulled him out and got into trouble myself. But I just, I leant out the door and I said, look, you need some, you know, some help. I'm leaving, not because I'm scared of you, because nothing scares me, but because you're basically a loony. You're a nutter, and I'm not staying here. So I left. Drove about 10 minutes, found another lay-by. And then I started thinking, this guy needs to be reported, really, because, I mean, I'm 61, but somebody else who's different to me, it could have given them a heart attack. It could have, or it could have been somebody younger that would have attacked him.
And then got into trouble themselves.
Then got into trouble for defending themselves, because this guy was actually, he was right on the edge. So I phoned the police and reported it. I'll try and speed this story up a little bit, because it goes on a bit. Reported him, and the policeman said to me, "Did you get a photo of the vehicle?" I said, "Yes, I did." "Can you give me a description of the guy?" "Yes." So I gave him a description. And he said, "You're quite a way from home, aren't you?" I said, "Well, not too far." He said, "Can you go home, Mark?" So he actually told me to go home. So I think they must have had some details on this guy.
They must have known him, yeah.
Because he said to me, "Just go home." So, okay. So I said I'll go home. And as I got off the phone from the police, this guy drove past and was sounding his horn. So I thought, yeah, you made the right decision with this guy. But then I thought, no, go back to where you were. So I drove back round to the village again, because I wanted just to sort of say something else to him, me being me. But he'd gone. So I drove home, 60 miles home, only to discover that I didn't have any house keys. And I didn't have any water left in the motorhome. So me and the dog spent the night on the drive, which was okay. Not really what we planned. So that was the first night.
Yeah. And then had
with
to
the
come
van.
and pick me up the next day.
And so the next day I had to drive all the way back to Brighton from home to pick Tony up, to go up and see my son and daughter-in-law.
That was a few days later, wasn't it?
And our beautiful little granddaughter.
Yeah.
That was a few days later.
So that was my story.
This is your story.
So Mark's son, Doug, Chrissy, and their little girl Sage, who's 2, have a narrowboat. They have their own channel. I will try, because this is our first few videos, and put their they've got their own YouTube channel, the Canal Boat Family. Look them up. Their videos are a bit special. I'll try and put it in the description if I'm able. So we were going to go up and see them. Now, it had to be a few days after Brighton, didn't it? Because I had a lung function test, because I've been having breathing problems. So
Cue the cough.
yeah. So was it Mind Over Matter? So I had this lung function test, and she says 90% asthma, which I've developed. I've never had it before in my life, but my dad developed it as well at my age, and he got over it in a few years. And so I thought, well, okay, she prescribed this other inhaler, because I already had the little blue inhalers, the brown one, which is a preventer, and I've got to go on that for 2 months. I've done a month already, and so we didn't have time to pick it up because it wasn't ready for another 3 days. So we went up to, they were in between Coventry and Northampton in a place called Crick. And on the way up, I started getting a toothache, and you might be able to see, I can see on the video, I've got a lump there. I've got to have a tooth out, but I had a bit of an abscess that's gone right down now. And I thought, I'll take some painkillers. As we were meeting them in a pub, we were going to have a meal, and then we were going to spend the next day with them on their narrowboat. So I just grabbed whatever was in my bag, took these 2 ibuprofen. Anyone with asthma right now is going to go, "Oh no, you didn't take ibuprofen." So yeah, I took these 2 ibuprofen, and my breathing started getting really difficult. We were about 20 minutes away from them, I think. And so yeah, it got worse and worse and worse and worse. By the time we pulled up, I could hardly breathe. And they came walking up the road with the baby in the buggy, and well, she's more like a toddler now, isn't she? And Mark just said, "Hi guys, can you call an ambulance, please?" Because I was in the back going, I was literally fighting to get oxygen in my lungs. And this is the first night that we were going to spend together on our own. the first night we were going to spend together in the
home.
motorhome. Our first
And
official.
people with asthma will know what it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't know what it's like, so they
They
explained to me what it was like when you.
It's like trying to breathe
and your lungs are full, and then you can't get rid of it.
You can't get rid of it, so you're trying to breathe into already full lungs. It was evil. My first really bad attack. I've had a couple of attacks now, and actually, one of them made sense now because I'd taken some aspirin, and that sent me into a little attack. So anyway, I ended up with a paramedic coming to the motorhome, blues and twos, coming to the motorhome. I thought if they'd taken 10 minutes longer, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. And when we explained what had happened, they said, yeah, ibuprofen. It's any anti-inflammatory, does something to your breathing tube, and yeah, it makes it just even worse. So I didn't know this. I had no idea about this at all. I do now. So the 90% asthmatic is now 100% asthmatic. So yeah, I ended up with 4 lots of Ventolin on an oxygen mask, in an oxygen mask for an hour, and then I was still wheezing, so I said no, Northampton General. And on the way there they gave me one more lot of medicine in the oxygen mask, another 20 minutes, and my breathing went back to normal. But at the hospital, because it was such a severe attack, I had to have an ECG. My heart's fine, blood tests, my blood's fine, another chest x-ray, which was fine. But we got back to the motorhome. Doug and Chrissy had to go, didn't they? Cause
they left straight away as soon as we left for the hospital.
No, they went for their meal.
Well, they had it, yeah, but we
by the time we got off to hospital, they were coming back down the road, weren't they? So they went back to the narrowboat, and yeah, we went off. We got back to the motorhome at about 12:05, and we couldn't sleep where it was because it was on. Oh no, you followed me in the hospital, didn't you? That's right. Sorry. So I went off in the ambulance. Mark followed in the motorhome, came into the hospital, looked at me, and went, "When we selling it then?" That was our first 2 nights.
Yeah.
Total disasters. And I'm like, no, we got to persevere with this. We're not selling it. So yeah, when we drove back, we just found the nearest road with no like yellow lines or anything. Just literally pulled up straight into bed, didn't we? And went to bed. And then the next day, which we will now do a video, we'll upload a video onto YouTube. We spent, I know it's not motorhome related, but we spent with Doug and Chrissy and Sage on their narrowboat. It was just lovely, absolutely lovely.
Did a few locks, didn't we?
Yeah. But a big tunnel.
But that'll be a different.
Yeah, a different video. So, yeah. But that is our first,
so that's the first 2 days we had in the van. So we just thought we'd share that with you. Anybody else got any similar events for their first few days with the van? Please comment down below, and we'll chat about it. But there we are.
I think we've covered everything that happened.
More or less.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. That's our first 2 nights. Anyone else? Got similar experiences? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know, because it'd be interesting to hear any other stories.
Okay. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.
Again.
No.
You've never seen a waterfall?
Water. Boo.